Only God could rescue me. Only God could set me free. Only God. Only God. Only God.
Hello, welcome to Only God Rescued Me. I'm Lisa Meister, your host, and very happy to bring to you Adrian Geist. Welcome, Adrian.
Hello, Isa. Thank you for inviting me.
You're very welcome. I'm very embarrassed. We just did an almost 2-hour interview and I did not hit record. I've never done that before. I am so sorry, Adrian.
No problem.
So we're going to pray and pray that I have it together this time. Abba, Father, Lord, help us to get this technology working, help my head to be working, and help us to get what we had before, because it was a really good interview, Lord, and we just need to get it again. So, Lord, I just ask that you would help both of us to focus. Lord, help our bodies to cooperate, because we've been sitting here a very long time. And Lord, just help us to get across what you want us to say. In Jesus' name, amen. So, Adrian, I'm really excited because we're going to talk about the Valley of the Son of Hinnom, which is an incredible place. I've met you a couple years ago. You started following the podcast. You started reaching out. You've been a huge encouragement to me over and over again. Times where I really felt like giving up, you've come through and started talking to me, and I really appreciate you. So welcome today.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you very much. Thank you for what you're doing. I really appreciate it. And it's very valuable in my life. It helps me a lot.
Well, thank you. Can you introduce yourself a little bit? You are from Europe, which is really cool. You speak English incredibly well. I didn't even know you weren't primarily an English speaker until I asked you on the podcast, and you're like, let me think about this for a little bit. And even talking to you, I can hardly tell that it's not your primary language.
Thank you. Because I was born in a foreign country and I was in a European school, international school. And so I learned English very young. And I had little friends, English friends. I even had American friends. So the English language entered me very soon. But I have no practice because it's maybe 20 years I don't speak, 20 or 30 years I don't speak English.
Wow.
It will be an opportunity for me to start again. But I will look for the words. I'm sorry if I don't, I don't find the words.
Oh, you have nothing to apologize for because you've done incredibly well.
Thank you.
You, out of the blue, decided, hey, I should go to Israel.
Yeah. I was some time ago because I'm living here in Brussels, in Belgium, with my wife that's from Brazil. And we're going to leave Europe next year, at the end of next year, going back to Brazil, where I lived 10 years. And, we want to visit. It's an opportunity for us now to visit some places here, because it's expensive. And when you're in Brazil, it's expensive. Now, and suddenly it came into my mind, but why not a holy place? And why not the place where Jesus saved us, And I said, no, why didn't I ever think of it before, because it's so logical. You believe, you read the Bible years and years, and you don't go where it happened, where everything happened. So I looked up how much it cost and everything, and it was it was the same price as any other place. So I said, wow, this is a present from God. I said, wow, how could I have not been before, But it came suddenly. And so I looked up the prices and I booked a plane ticket and for Tel Aviv. And from there I found a room, Airbnb in the heart of old Jerusalem. In a house of a Jewish pastor, Christian pastor.
Wow.
So it was, my wife was reassured because it's a bit a strange place, a place, is a bit different from maybe not so secure, but she was comforted that, it was a pastor house.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So it's very important that all of a sudden you felt the need to go to Israel. It wasn't a lifelong, I want to go to Israel someday. It just came on you. Let's go to Israel. So there you are in Israel.
Yeah.
And you decide to go see the upper room where Jesus had the Last Supper.
Mhm.
And then you were on your way from there to Herod's palace,
Yeah.
and where Jesus was judged.
That's right. Yeah. Where they think, because you have to put everything between brackets, because it's the best place they think at the moment that it happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what
Because it's
happened
too-
on your way there?
Because Jerusalem was destroyed, many times, and everything, everything that exists was destroyed by the Romans. I read a book here from Joel Kramer before going there, because I didn't have any guide there. I said I have to know where do I go, and so I read a book. He's an archaeologist, and he wrote about 10 places in there, and he also made a video on this palace of Herod that died, because Herod died, and the deposit was Pilate. And he made some discoveries there. Joel Kramer, he worked on it, that the place where Jesus went out of the palace when he was flogged is not the place where they think it was. It's a new place. It's the place where now that where I went, and that's the right place.
Wow.
They
Wow.
think, because, they think. But before that, you have to go on his site, Joel Kramer, and you will find more information about it.
Okay.
So I bought this book. I read the book entirely. So I look at the places, because my wife doesn't walk very well, so we couldn't walk a lot. I took places that were close to one another. I went to see also the grave of, in the Palestine side, the grave of the one that Jesus resuscitated, Lazarus. I went to see this grave, and at the same place I went on the Mount of Olives, because it was close one to each other. And then one day I said, I'm going to the upper room, and the place of the palace, where Jesus was flogged, and he took the cross. And like you said, it wasn't far from where I stayed. We took the bus, the local bus. We went there. We saw the upper room, but it wasn't so interesting. It was interesting because you also have, at the same place, you have the tomb of king, important king. I'm not say his name. And you have the upper room, but everything was destroyed many times. So, it just. But the place we were going after the Last Supper place, it was the palace of Herod, and the palace of Herod. The palace was destroyed many times also, but the walls weren't. So this was an original place,
Wow.
And they found that at the eastern part of the wall, there was an entrance that didn't exist. They discovered it after, because they did some digging. There was 20 meters of ground, and they digged, and they found this entrance that goes into the palace, into the wall. And it's the only entrance that is there, that there aren't many entrances. There's just one. And so they deduce, that it's the only place where Jesus could have gone out of the palace.
Wow.
And a place that wasn't in the city, because the other sides of the wall were in the city. This place wasn't in the city, this wall, So, and also it's the place where, because in the Bible it's written that the person who aided Jesus to carry the cross, he came from the countryside.
Okay.
And that was the place from the countryside, because the other sides were in the city. So they deduced that was the place where they also found the Gabata, the stone of Gabata, where Pilate was seated, so they deduced this is the right place.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where the place where Jesus was brought to Pilate, he entered the palace there, he was flogged, and he exited the palace at that place.
So as you were on the way there,
Yeah.
how close were you there?
I was from the from the place where the supper place, last supper place, to the wall. There is about 300 meters, very close.
Okay.
But we walked close. We didn't go quickly because my wife has problem to walk. So we took, let's say, 1 hour, half an hour, and I was nearly arriving there. It was maybe 5 or 10 minutes, no, 5 minutes before arriving at this gate. The gate where Jesus passed. That I was looking down. I was looking around me, and I was looking at the valley where there are roads now. There's a road. And I didn't think of anything else, to say the truth, And suddenly I was looking down at this valley, just looking, what it was, And suddenly some man appeared out of nowhere, and he said to me, "Do you know what I written here? Do you know what you're looking at? Do you know what happened there? Children were sacrificed there."
Wow.
And then came to my head, this is the Hinnom Valley.
Wow. So this man shows up out of nowhere and says this to you, and doesn't say it to anybody around you. He doesn't say it to anybody around you.
No, there were nearly nobody. But he just said that to me, in English. I was a bit perplexed, as why is he saying this to me? Why, and as I was thinking, he already was gone,
Wow.
And this is true, this is really happened. It's not, imagination no, it really happened because I then thought, yes, this is Hinnom Valley. I said to my wife, also I talked about her. So it's really something that really happened,
Wow. I just think this is the coolest thing.
Cool.
I think this is God sending you there and then sending somebody to get your attention to say, this is the Valley of Ben Hinnom. Pay attention. Yeah. This is the Valley of Ben Hinnom. Jesus was right there.
Yeah. It was some kind of a reminder. Don't forget this fact, that their children were sacrificed, like he said to me. He didn't say to me, this is Hinnom Valley or this is, no. You know what happened there? Children were sacrificed, so it's the heart of SRA.
Right. Well, let's show them the clip you sent me.
Okay. Is that the clip I sent to you? Yeah, because that is my Wi-Fi.
That's it. All right. So the Valley of Ben Hinnom, that is where the kings went outside the walls of Jerusalem to sacrifice their children to Baal, to Molech. They called it Tophet. This is a really bad place. And this is where God put Jeremiah in Jeremiah 19 to call in the judgment on Israel, that the Babylonians were going to come in and destroy Jerusalem, which they did. And the carrying away, you get Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and all that going on. And it was because of the sins of SRA and the sacrifice of children. And that's what was going on in Israel. Jesus also referenced Ben Hinnom in Mark 9:43, where he says, if your hand offends you, it's better to cut it off. Better to enter life maimed than to have hands and feet and go into Gehenna, which is the Valley of Ben Hinnom, into the fire that never shall be quenched. So Jesus even referenced it on his mind. Now, he was calling it hell, but his fire was, though, like in Gehenna, it does quench, it does go out. That fire to Baal goes out, but then hell, it doesn't go out, which is way worse. So God sends Adrian Geist to Jerusalem. Here you are. You don't have too many places to go to, but you end up here. You're looking at Ben Hinnom.
It was this place, because it was a place that was discovered recently. It was a place very significant for me. For me, it was an important place to visit. One of the most important, because it's the place where Jesus, he took the cross. He was flogged. He was suffered. It was his final hours on earth.
So when he was on the way to Golgotha, where was that in reference to Ben Hinnom?
So when this person said to me, this is Ben Hinnom. So I continued and I arrived at this palace wall, and this palace wall is all of Jerusalem is on a hill, on two hills, and surrounding these two hills there is the valley, and this palace of Herod and of Pilate, it was on the side of this valley, on the side, So you have the wall, and then you have the Valley of Hinnom.
Wow.
Yeah. If you walk up, so when you leave, when Jesus was flogged in the palace, and he left the palace and passed through the gate, he was facing the Hinnom Valley. Just meters, 150 meters away, you have the valley.
So
if he goes straight, if he left, he went straight, he's entering the valley. So he didn't go straight. He went right up to, he followed the palace wall out of the north of it, because it's the Jews who took him. I think the Jews wanted him to be crucified in a certain place, that was more north of this place. But all of this was happening next to the Hinnom Valley, because they were going to the side of the Hinnom Valley.
So he could see it on the way.
He was next to it. So geographically, yeah, it was really, it's a discovery that's very interesting, for people who, who know that all of this exists today, and that this happened there at that same time, this cruelty, and it's a real link, to SRA.
Yeah.
Present day SRA, because everything that Jesus, he is here, it's today, it's,
yeah.
He died, but he didn't die,
Right. So this says to me that on the way to being judged, we were on his mind because he passed the valley. I'm sure he passed the valley probably on the way. But then on the way to the cross, we were on his mind, right? Because he could see the valley. He's thinking about all the kids sacrificed, and then maybe even on the cross, he was facing it. I don't know.
Let me interrupt you. Like when I went there, somebody appeared to me and said, they're the child was sacrificed there. So how could it not be on his mind, I'm a small creature, Somebody tells to me, so this happened to, to say that it was on his mind,
Yeah.
And it still is, it's...
It just blows my mind. This blows my mind. Adrian, this blows my mind. That's why
it's strong.
I think this is the biggest podcast, because this is God's heart through you reaching out to us and all of us, and you too, because we'll hear your story as well, and you're connected. Mm-hmm. This is God saying, I see you, I hear you, I love you, and I'm sorry. And I am reaching out to rescue you. It's beautiful.
Saying, I know.
Yeah.
This is happening. I know. And I knew, he knew that it happened, and he knows.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm going to send Adrian.
Because, it's biblical, because, it isn't written, in the Bible, they tell the story of Jesus, but it isn't linked with the Hinnom Valley, but in reality, in a geographic reality, it is,
Yeah.
And it was on his mind, and it is on his mind, and he was sacrificed. He was sacrificed like a child was sacrificed.
Right. Well, he is the Son of God.
He was beaten. He was, nearly died. He couldn't carry his cross because he was dying, and he died as a sacrifice, nailed to the cross, like a beast, like even criminals, you don't do that,
Right. Right.
They have their rights, He didn't have any rights,
Right. Well, it was God's idea all along. The moment that Adam and Eve sinned, and that opened the door for the demonic and gave Satan all the rights or whatever. His plan was, I'm going to send my son to pay for your sins. Don't worry, I've got this taken care of. That was God's plan. His plan was never for man to start sacrificing their own kids, because the Bible said that was never on my mind. That never came into my thoughts, that man would do this. But God's plan all along was, I'm going to send my son. He will pay the price. That was on his mind. And then on Jesus' mind was all of us. He's like, this was never supposed to happen.
Yeah, because like I said before, to you before, think man sinning, it's because man is an image of God. He said in the Bible, it's written that we are his image, maybe more than animals, animals are, they are, but we have this conscience, bigger conscience that God, that is the image of God. We wouldn't have any conscience if it wasn't from him. He gave us his conscience.
That's true.
So we are his image, and happened what happened, men start sinning, suffering, sinning, and being angry with God, because saying it was God's fault and everything,
Right.
but it was he that was sinning. And all the evil forces started to use that,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. They twist it all around so badly.
Yeah, even use it at the point of making SRA and everything. And even at that epoch, it was something, like you say, it's something very old, it's something we didn't invent now. It's something, that's why you do this. It's very old,
Right. Goes back to Babel.
And mankind has tried many times to stop this, like you have these kings, Hezekiah and Josiah, for example, that realized we have to stop this, but they didn't do it, enough,
Right.
And so it perpetrated. It's not because Jesus died for us, but he said, you have to take your cross. You have to follow me.
Right. Yeah.
So if we don't follow him and we do evil things, we are just perpetrating what happened,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about your story.
So, I'm not a, SRA victim, but I am a sort of victim of evil cults. It was a very short, didn't happen wasn't very long, but, I know it exists, evil cults. What's evil cults? That's people, that's a group of people who wants to capture you, to serve them, to give them the money, to believe in them, to follow them, to do what they want. An evil cult. And they're using faith or a book or some philosophy, or they're using something, or the Bible, to attract you. But they have a design, really to control you, in a way or another, and they want to gain some force, they want to become more and more powerful. That's evil cult. But in France, they have defined, since the year 80s and 90s, they have defined what's the government started because they had some more and more problems. I'm French. My nationality is French, but I just lived 2 years there. But yeah, before telling this, I'm quickly going to say what happened to me. I had some traumas in life because I was born in a foreign country, and my father always said, "You're a foreigner. You're not going to live here for long. You don't have to make roots here." I had a sister and a brother who died. So you're foreigners, okay? Then when I was 5, my mother left the household. There was a dispute, between them, and my father was a very authoritarian man, and my, it was, he didn't go with my old mother, and so she left. I was 5, and I never saw her again. She disappeared of my life. My father was very authoritative, and he didn't want he didn't want us to mention about my mother. We couldn't talk about her. He was very authoritative. And so this was very, imagine growing up without knowing your mother if she doesn't exist. It's very, very strange because your mother has nurtured you 5 years. I was 5, and disappears. You can't live very well, after that. So this is a trauma for me. Then there was the fact that I was stranger, that, I was eternal stranger. And then at what moment in life, my father went to Brussels because he was working for the European Community, and we arrived in Brussels, and I was 17, and I felt more and more stranger. My head was a bit confused. I couldn't study. So I was entering some kind of depression. But for my father, I had to study, he only, if you don't study, if you're not somebody with a degree, you're nobody. He was in a way very cold. So it didn't work. I didn't arrive to study, so I said, I want to find my mother. I want to know who she is. And because a way to leave my father and go away. So I contacted my mother, so I went there, and so it was very nice for some time. But the problems I had didn't she didn't manage to help me a lot. I was in a deep depression, and my mother was was herself very not very stable. She believed in a good New Age theories, and she was in she didn't know, wasn't a believer in the Bible or nothing. So she didn't help me. She didn't arrive to help me a lot. And at one moment she was a bit impatient, and she even wanted me to leave the house. And I was a bit alone on the world. It was a bit difficult for me because my mother, I wanted, all my life to see her. Then I find her, and then I have to leave. She doesn't want me. She abandons me a second time. It's very hard, and my brain not working very well. Depression, not being able to study. Because if you're not capable of studying, what are you going to do in life? What are you going to work? It's very. So it's not, I felt foreigner. So, it was a crisis. And I was looking in also, a bit in, I interested me in Buddhism. I didn't tell you. There was a monastery, a Buddhist monastery there in France, out of France. So I went there, see some lamas, people came there from
Wow.
Himalaya.
Now, I didn't get this in the first interview. This is interesting. Okay.
This is new. So I bet, I didn't look the Christian side, but I started, there was an esoteric library, I went to look, but it made me really afraid. So I could feel some, some strange things there, but okay.
I bet.
So I didn't, I wanted to find things, to help me, but I didn't want, things that weren't from God. I was a bit looking, and then my situation was getting a bit worse. My reason, because you're alone, you're in depression. I went working at that time. It was a day, I didn't work or study so there was a day I said, today I'm going to walk away. I went away in the morning. I walked the whole day, just walked. Came back the evening, and it was a bit that my life, at a certain time. And so I was desperate, I didn't find any light or solution or hope or, And so I went looking in esoteric libraries, to find some good news, some good way out, And I fell on a book chamada Révélation d'Arès, Revelation of Arès. It's a man. Arès is a city in southwest of France. It's a man who had received a revelation from God, and he was some new prophet, from one time from God and another time from Jesus, And you can leave the link, if I send you the link there's a link, Révélation d'Arès. And as I was looking at it now, it still exists, it's still, this man exists, this house where he said it happened exists, and it still exists. And so I said, I wasn't reasoning very well, I was reading this book. I said, wow, it's the message from God. Maybe this is a truth, a way out, So I said, I'm going there to have a look. My mother didn't, want to see me so much. So she was happy I was going somewhere, So I went there, it was 500 kilometers. I took the train. I went there in a camping there next to the place, the house where it happened, And so I went there for some days, some weeks, it was a bit demoniac, it wasn't from God, because you could feel it. It wasn't from God, But at that moment, you're so bad, you want so much to have something real, you can start believing something that's bad, something that's untrue, something that, because there is some way possessed by the demon, they give you something to believe in.
Right.
I started reading this book, trying to believe in something, because it was linked to the Bible. It was linked to, so, you can always find something. There is a lot of good in the Bible if you read it. So I was starting, believing. But at that time, I sent a postcard to my father, And I said, I encountered God here, Ares, in the city. It's a prophet of God, he received the message of God. It's a new prophet, something. Okay. So my father is, engineer, rational man, and very intelligent, and he said, oh, this is not, this is because when my wife ran away, my mother went away, he always accused her of being in a sect. In Europe, it's called sect, but it's evil cult called sect here. That she disappeared and she fell in some evil cult, somewhere. And, he was really, he's a rational man. It's only science, science. So, okay, so he was against all cult, evil cult. So I understand in his letter, he said, oh, this is very strange. I'm going to contact in Belgium an association, I don't know the name, that fights cults. It exists. It's chamada ATFI, Association of the Family and Individual Victim of Cults.
Wow.
It exists. That's good. It's a good thing.
Sure.
Okay. So he contacted it in Belgium. In Belgium, they said, no, it's in France. You have to contact this association in France. So he contacted this association. It's a woman called Jean Drose, I remember. And in Grenoble, a city is called Grenoble in the mountain. And my father is very, he very persuasive. He said, you have to get my son there. He fell in some weird, you have to go there, take him out of there. Please do this, please, please, please. I will pay you and everything. So the husband of this woman who had this association, he went there in Paris and he managed to, to do that. I follow him. So I followed him, because like I said to you, I think God was working on me and saying, no, follow him, because, I was in a bad situation. So I followed him and they, like you said, they deprogrammed me. So they starting to tell me, truth about this cult, this leader, he said this, he wrote this. So, it opened my eyes. They tried to open my eyes. And so I realized this is a cult, it's an evil cult. This isn't from God. This is all fake. This is all, because the evil cults, they want to believe in some dream they built,
Right.
This is a message from God. This is a good man. This is everything is linked to the Bible, to the good things, so you have to, to follow this man who received the real light, the real truth, it's a good pastor, the real, so they tell me the truth about this person, that isn't true, and they also showed to me all the, there was the government at this time had made a study of all the evil cults because there was a big problem in France at that moment, there was Scientology, the moon of Jehovah, Jehovah. The governor made a study and they found that they listed, it was in 82, the prime minister in the French government, they asked a man called Alain Vivien to make this study. And they found that in France, there was between 130 and 800 evil cults. And that there was between 400,000 and 500,000 people believing in that,
Wow.
And they listed 174 evil cults, there was children of God, cults that are very old, like, let's say, the Jehovah Witnesses, the Mormons, the Crucians. But there were also cults that came from the United States in the 70s. Children of God, Hare Krishna, Scientology, Transcendental Meditation, and Moonism. But there was 174 of that, And they started to make, they wanted to make some laws, to combat. So there was this association in France. I think there are 30 associations in every department that is fighting evil cults. But the associations are made of people, of people around, they're common people. But the government also wanted to make laws to help combat evil cults. And they they made some laws that passed the government that you may not you may not that to protect people that are vulnerable, like children, like the special laws, that didn't exist, but that have to exist to combat this sects that are trying to. They put what's an evil sect? Look, in France, certain authors, anti-sect associations, and Midiluv is the organ in the government that fights sects that they created, and they have established criteria for sectarian excesses. Because at the start they said we're going to fight sects, but evil cults. But after they decided, no, that's a problem because we have to fight what they do, the evil they do. We can't attack the cults, because they're going to say, no, but why? They're going to make the victim to be the victim.
Yep, they're really good at that.
Our liberty, you liking, in Waco in the United States it happens, the governor went with guns, and then there are victims, they want to storm us, they want to, stop our belief system. They want,
Right.
So no, so it's complicated, huh? Fight cults,
Yeah.
Because it's ingrained. It's like SRA. It's really ingrained in the system. They know the laws. They know everything. They find a way, to exist with all this. I think the evil cults I'm talking about, it's a bit not like SRA. SRA is extreme. SRA, they cannot show, what they're doing. Evil cults like Scientology, they can show, some part of it because it's very, it's very, if you read books of Ron Hubbard, I didn't read Ron Hubbard or founder of Scientology. Maybe it's, it's very nice, there isn't anything bad. Maybe, I didn't read it, but the problem is what happened, what they say and what they do. So the government said, no, we have to find something that goes against what they do. What cannot be done is 11 points. What cannot be done is mental destabilization. How do you see what's an evil cult? In an evil cult happens mental destabilization. You have the exorbitant nature of financial requirements. So there's the money, people have to give money the cult, but a lot of money, not just a bit. The break of the original environment. The cults want to break you and the family. They find some victim. They want to cut from the family because the family is going to, to open your mind. They don't want. You have existent attack on physical integrity, that can be sexual. It can be you're beaten or forced working also. The recruitment of children, they like children. Antisocial speech, they want, they take the people, they criticize, they criticize the government, so they're better, Disturbances of public order. You also have the importance of legal disputes. Evil cults have problems with justice, in general, not just one, they have, you don't know when you enter, but, for example, Scientology, they have a lot of, they already have a lot of people who attack them, but you have lawyers and but can be Moon, it can be, big associate, they have a lot of money. The possible diversion of traditional economic circuits, they earn money through different circuits.
Right.
And they attempt to infiltrate public authorities. And I think when you have this in SRA is the same, you have the people do SRA, they have also all these 11 points, you have a lot of it.
Right. Because it is a cult. It absolutely is.
And the first point, mental destabilization, is the most important because with this, once you get access to the mental of people, even once they convince they're right, what they're doing, once you're convinced mentally, it's lost, you're lost a bit.
Right.
And so when I was in this cult, the first thing they did when they took me out is to deprogram me mentally, because there was a mental attempt to control me, to in a way or another, because they're using it in a way or another, because like in SRA, like what you told, they want to, they want to participate in, in things. They want you to have fear. If you don't do things that, you're going to be killed, And so, there is a mental work that's done, at the point that you can become even a perpetrator. That's a
Right.
point, you know.
It's all mind control, which
And so
they
you-
all are. They all are. But, that's all the demonic attempt is keep people from thinking. They will control your thoughts and keep you down. Where God
you-
is all about giving us free will, the ability to think, the ability to decide. God never controls us. The demonic always controls thoughts. God never does. Right there, the difference between a cult and what is godly. It's fascinating.
And the cult also will put fear. Fear is also a way to control. Huh?
Yeah.
And God, He won't make fear. He won't use fear to control your.
Right. Yeah. God's about love. Devil's about fear. Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's also, what happened with in the Old Testament. You have, you had these laws and everything, and then Jesus came and he said, now it's love, because the heart, the heart of it is love. So it isn't control, Even the laws, you can rebel against laws and so what the sects are doing, the evil cults, there isn't any real love,
Right.
They would talk about love,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
like in New Age, or love is everything, love, and then you find out at the end that you have to make sex with, they control you, and this love that isn't, so
Yeah. Yeah. There's no love to it. There's no love in control. Didn't you say in the last interview that the French government tried to create some laws about these and something about the United States government?
Yeah. So at the beginning, this was very, like everything that starts is very nice. We're starting, we're doing this. The associations that fight the evil cults were very happy. It's like, oh, the government is doing something. There's no laws and everything. But then, of course, a lot of people that are in the government that are didn't like that, because you have, like I said, you have. In France, for example, you have this masonry, the good part, but I don't know if it's good, but they have a respected masonry or something in the government that are respected masons. But, they didn't like, because they don't want that the government put their noses in what they're doing,
Right, because you have the high level secret societies running our governments, and this is going to go against right here what they're doing.
I would say even the evangelical church, because they can do what they want. They call them, this is a church. I can, this is faith. This is church. I do what I want,
Yeah.
So this is dangerous, if you're called whatever you're called, something based on faith, because it's faith, I can do nothing.
Well, again, it's how free are the people? That's the question.
Yeah. And that's why, it was very nice in the beginning, but then there was the list, they made a list of 170 evil cults. It was taken away, because no, you can attack people, it's true. You cannot attack, if you don't have really proof. It was a bit, if even in this 170 evil cults, there were some that were maybe weren't evil,
Yeah.
And so these people said, no, but what do we do? What did we did? So at the moment they said, no, we're going to change this. We want to attack only the effects, only what they're doing. But anyway, even at the end, I've written here that France is one of the countries most engaged in struggle in Europe against evil cults at that epoch, and at the origin of controversial positions which have earned it criticism, including the European Parliament and the American Congress. So they were Americans, because I read a book now, Le Nouveau Péril des Sectes, a book I just started reading, that counts the story, of what happened and what happened after. And there was even the ambassador of the United States saying, what are you doing? They didn't like it.
Yeah, because it's high-level people involved in secret cults running our governments and don't want to stop.
This was in France, but why they came in France to say they didn't like what they're doing in France? Because some way it disturbs them, that some country want to do something about it,
Yeah,
and
a lot of questions.
Make some rules that everybody has to apply, just everybody, the churches, So even in a church, you can't have any mental destabilization. You don't have exorbitant financial requirements, they don't
Yeah.
like that, a lot of
Yeah.
people don't like that because they want that you give them the money, most money, because money they can do, they have power,
Right.
so and so on, in a lot of, they don't want the government to put the nose in what they're doing. But if you have abuse,
It just blows your mind. You hear this and you're like, I mean, we know it, but you see it played out and it's public knowledge. And you're like, come on, people. Come on, people. These cults are running the world.
yeah, at the end they are, because they infiltrate. They have money. They infiltrate the government, so they influence what the government decide, the politics. Everything is okay for them, but don't put the nose in what they're doing, because there's things happening,
Right.
They don't want you to know. They know that. So this initiative of the French died a bit. It isn't dead yet. But for example, the personnel that was there, the money they received to maintain this part of the government, it diminished a lot.
Yeah.
And now, for example, they were 10 people. Now there are only 3 or something. They can't work a lot. And also what happened is that they received. They put this list of the evil sects. They had a lot of people who went in law who made a process. How do you say? They went in justice, and they had to pay, even if they won. They had to pay lawyers a lot of money.
Yeah.
So they couldn't say anything anymore, because if they said something, this is an evil cult. This cult would attack them. And
what number on this was that? The importance of legal disputes.
Right.
They all came in. They're lawyers.
They have the money, so they get the money.
On being on the list right there. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It isn't one.
Yeah.
Yet.
So, but I mean, this is SRA at top levels, making sure we keep all these cults going so that we can keep going.
Yeah. Because behind all these small little cults, it's like a pyramid. It gets worse and worse. And to have this evil running, there is sacrifice, evil to the demons at a certain level.
Yeah.
And so you have even, at the beginning, you had I read this. You had this association fighting against evil cults, and you had even people of the Masons that were supporting them. But it was Masons of a low level. We didn't know what's happening. So it's complicated.
Very, very.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's what other way is there? It's. We have to, there is there is a system. There's something called democracy. It's we that go to the vote, who vote people to protect us.
Yeah.
So there is no other way. The people who we put in the government have to protect us. What protects us, what we consider is a danger.
Right.
That's what they want.
So we have the governments, and then we have Jesus walking to the cross in the midst of the government and fighting for us and saying, "See, I see it all."
Jesus, he is the man. When he left the palace of Pilate, says, "This is the man." Of course, I believe in that. It's face. That's and so Jesus is a man. It's a man like you, me. He represents all the people, He's even, it's bigger. He really is the good shepherd. So, whatever happens to us, to us, Jesus is with us, It's not a government. Jesus is somebody who's with us. Through the cross, through his suffering, his proper sacrifice of himself, he can help us the effect of what's happening, of evil cults, of SRA. He can't stop it because he isn't a governor. He isn't a government. He hasn't this power of deciding what's going on in our society. But he can. What he's doing, he's seeing everything, and he's helping us in secretly. He's helping us to be strong, to fight. To fight against.
And when he rose again, he broke the power of their curses against us so that we can be set free.
Yeah.
With all that they did.
That's, that's what the light of he went through everything that a human can go through, even the sacrifice that the children go through. And he but knowing it was a bit different because he was God. He was knowing, he was accepting this to save us,
He chose it.
we don't choose. I didn't choose as he consciously to to suffer. To my mother went away. I didn't choose this consciously, but he chose to go through this process, to be able through this to save us, to help us out. The way he made, he said, if you want to be my and that's why I went to this place, because it's a very significant place, because it's this place there next to the Hinnom Valley that he really, it was the final moments of God made man, in this world. And that's the place where he really took the cross. He became the man. Somebody said, this is the man. It wasn't imagination. It was for me real. And he took the cross, and he's the way out.
Yes, he is. Just
Because,
beautiful.
yeah, he's the way out, and he shined on the cross. On the sufferance, he shined. He became. He did what God wanted, and he became what he is now for us.
Yep. Now he sits at the right hand of the Father, and under his feet are all the demons, Satan, all the principalities and powers are all under him. He has authority over all. I love that.
What he asks to us is to take our cross and to follow him.
Yeah.
So we have
do
to
that.
make some. Taking a cross is what you pass through, what everybody passed through in his traumas, and follow him is the accepting him to heal us.
Yeah. And he does. He's good at it. He's very good at it. He's faithful.
Because it's every day. It's when you pass trauma, like you say, it's it can be severe. To even to go out to make to clean your house, like you said, or do something, or to go work. Everything becomes very difficult.
Right.
Very heavy, very terrible. So you have to have this force, of God to live your daily life.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I just really appreciate you coming on here today and sharing all this with us, because this is important. This is you standing up against these evil cults. This is you speaking out on this Valley of the Son of Hinnom and bringing this peace about Jesus having that sacrifice on his mind as he went to the cross. It's just beautiful. He sent you to Israel, sent someone to bring that to you. And then you're bringing that here.
There is a link with you, in fact, because, I was 2 years, I'm looking at your podcast. And so there is really a link to a message, like you say, that I did this for, in a way, like a message, for you and for you to the people, the community of victims.
Yeah.
It's a real message, because, Jesus made a way for us, to get out of it.
Yeah. What do you think he's saying to the survivors?
I think he's, he says, I know what happened. Like he said to me, I know children were sacrificed. So he knows what's happened. He knows what happens in the world and everywhere. And he knows what happens, and he will give this force, this force that helps you to continue, if you didn't die, because there are children who die, or person who die. But as those who don't die, that's some even worse. Like sometimes, like you say, you have traumatism, but you have to continue to live, and this day life, this is what, faith in God and Jesus can enable you to continue, to every day have this light, have this, continue in the small things of life,
Beautiful.
He doesn't want us to make big things, He wants to, it can be big, but we have to live a daily life, It's
Keep
life, be good, find a good companion, find a, job, find able to live. All these details, once the evil has destroyed you in a way, you have this reconstruction. I went to see a psychiatrist. I didn't tell also years, and he helped me a lot. I don't say you have to go to medics. You have to look what's good in the society to help you. But the stone, the stone is Jesus, because he is the creator. He is the son of the creator. He created. He knows how much hair we have on our head. We can't do just psychiatry or just without no. But God, no, our faith, I don't know. You have to be rational and say, no, we have to, it's first the creator and then the rest,
Right. Absolutely.
If you don't get this source, the Jesus who broke the spell, who can break the spell in your life, because what's happened to you is also can be a curse of a family curse, because it's in your case, it's your parents, your proper parents who did this, So it's a curse. It's some kind of evil choice, they made. And in my case, my father, so my parents, it's evil, They made, they left one another. They left children. It isn't of God,
Right.
It's kind of curse, so the root, to break this curse is our Creator,
Yes.
who knows everything, who has the power, because you say Jesus seated at the right of the Father. It is a place of power.
Yeah. Yep.
If you're going to go medic, what do you want? A good medic. You don't want a medic who's not good. You're always looking the best one. With Jesus, the same, the one who can really save us, who can really break the curses is Jesus. There's no other, I don't see any other, You can go, you have to go to medics. You have to. No, I'm not saying you don't go to medicine, or you don't, you have to help in society the good, but
yeah, but it's Jesus.
That's the source.
Yeah.
That break the curse. Yeah. And that's so difficult in SRA, the worst, because that's so, you're so broken. You're so broken, it's only God, like you said.
Yeah.
It's a point where the medic can help you, but they can't really, they can't put a new brain, a new soul. They can't, have the light of something that puts your brain in the right place.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. If the psychologists and psychiatrists could fix us, people wouldn't go to God.
Right. Wait, also, there is a limit, they can do a lot. Depends on what psychiatrist, but I don't believe in therapy without God. I don't believe.
Right. Yeah. All right. Let's pray the shaking prayer.
Okay.
All right. From where we're seated in Christ Jesus.
From where we're seated in Christ Jesus.
At the right hand of the Father.
At the right hand of the Father.
The Lord God Almighty says.
The Lord God Almighty says.
The time has come.
The time has come.
For the Luciferian kingdom to be shaken.
For the Luciferian kingdom to be shaken.
We decree.
We decree.
Let the great shaking.
Let the great shaking.
Of all who worship Lucifer begin. Your sorceries and sacrifices.
Your sorceries and sacrifices.
Will not help you.
Will not help you.
Your protection is removed.
Your protection is removed.
Let the shaking of the Luciferian kingdom increase.
Let the shaking of the Luciferian kingdom increase.
Here every day. I love that. In Jesus' name, amen.
In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you so much. Thanks for doing this again the second time. God bless you, Adrian.
Thank you. Thank you very much. There are points we didn't talk about that I said in the first part, but
yeah.
Another time, maybe.
Yeah, we'll have you back. I know you've got more research to come, and it's just going to be fascinating.
I would like to follow this effort of the government and this open efforts of society, to combat this, which you are part of, because what you're doing is part of that, because you're giving the voice to people who, say what's happening, what happened, So this is a crucial part of combating all this evil cults,
Sure. Yeah.
This is the first, because the first thing is information.
Yeah.
First thing, we have to inform the people in the world about facts.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I appreciate you bringing this all to us. It's just fascinating how the French tried, to come and to combat it, and then just seeing people coming, even the U.S. government, and saying, "How dare you do? How dare you do this?"
Yes, this is too much.
Until you start looking at, okay, why would they do this? And then you have to start asking some questions that are a little upsetting to start having to look at the answers to.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's true that the French gave, in this case, I gave an example, and, I don't see any other way out, I don't see any way, if the government doesn't do nothing. So if the people we vote for that represent us, that, then it's over. It's what happened, you have a government that, has nothing to do with the people, who took power and who's deciding what they want. You have evil that comes out of it.
Well, I was reading the other day, there was an anti-Mason party early on in the United States.
I didn't.
I didn't know that either. William Seward, who was Secretary of State under Abraham Lincoln, ran under the anti-Mason party for a while. But then the Masons came in and convinced people that there was no reason for it. And so
Because
kind of fascinating.
all these cults, they have the nice, they have the people don't realize before they get deeper in it that it's evil,
Right. It's like, oh no,
So
it's a really
they say,
good Christian group. We're
Yeah,
building
what are we
America.
doing? This is
Yeah.
nice. We do nothing.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
persecuting us. We're the victims.
Yeah, they're good at twisting that one really
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, come back. Love to hear what else you find. Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you for everything and for having me on. It was a real honor.
Twice. Thank you, and thank you to our listeners.
Only God could rescue me. Only God could set me free. Only God. Only God. Only God.